podcast, and we are back breaking down the VU 4-point plan. But as I told you guys before, we will be doing more interviews, getting more in depth, bringing more people on just to kind of discuss their process and kind of help you guys further along in your journey. Help you guys start, to formulate more, to build thoughts and more to build intentions around your goals. So today we're going to be talking about the mental aspect of the path. And I have my best friend of 10 years, Z. She's going to be finishing her degree in psychology. So I wanted to bring her on because we've been talking about the plan, and we've been breaking it down. What is the goal? We've been breaking it down. How do what do you actually want out of life? How do you actually get there? Who do you have to become? What changes do you need to make? And I think a lot of the times, we think about it from a very surface level. We think about, changing the routines, changing some of the habits, changing our friends, changing, procrastination. And those are great surface level things, but I also want to get to the bottom. I want to get beneath the surface. I want to start tackling some of the harder questions, because the second pillar in the Kingdom of Dreams, outside of the plan, is going to be mental health. Okay, you have mental health and then you have financial health. Those are the two main pillars. So I want to get into the mental side because I feel like trauma not only impacts our communities a lot. We don't talk about it as much either. So this, another problem in itself. But trauma, and it doesn't, just designate itself to any skin color, but specifically in the Black communities, trauma is something that we don't necessarily think about. Where we become desensitized to it in a sense. So I wanted her to come on and just share a word about trauma, and then we kind of put it in perspective and make it practical as it correlates to the plan and how you should really think about how your past traumas may need to be addressed before you can actually progress and become the person that you need to in order to get the journey that you want to accomplish. So Z, go ahead and give a little quick introduction and we can get started with it.
Okay, so I'm Z, real name Zena. 24, in school, like I said before, for psychology. I'm looking to get my degree in about 2 years. I've pretty much been taking class after class on, why we think, do the way that we, do stuff that we do and things like that. So, and trauma has been like a major part of learning for me and going through this field. So, yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna get into some questions, and again, I just kind of want her to, kind of highlight some points, and then we want to make it practical too. We want why this correlates, why this is important to have as a pillar, but also to talk about the plan. So, like when you say your studies in psychology, how people think, why they do the things that they do, and you said you've also studied like trauma as well extensively. So, how does the psychology and trauma, like, how do they kind of go together? Like, how does trauma make a person do what they do? How can it, be missed?
So, with anybody experiencing trauma, whether they realize it or not, like, it alters the way that they think, act, and function. Like I said, whether people realize it or not, even stemming from, like being younger, things that may have happened to you that affected you negatively can definitely affect you in your adult life. I mean, it can go down as far as you can't even think for yourself without getting input from any and everybody. It really depends on the person and also the situation and the experience that they had. Everybody's individual experience is different and it affects everybody differently.
Okay. And so I speak to a lot of high schoolers, maybe younger audience, and there may be some that are older in the audience. So what would you say to a high schooler or younger or older, someone who has dealt with trauma? How would you, what advice would you give them as far as approaching that trauma, or even just analyzing or figuring out whether or not they're going through trauma? Like, how do you begin that stage?
Honestly, like I said, it's all about the way that it affects people. So if you've been through something and it's affecting you to the point where you just can't function as a regular human being, and what I mean by that is you can't go through daily life. I can't get my schoolwork done. I can't, play outside activities without being too distracted. Homework is hard. School is hard. Like, anything that affects everyday life can be considered trauma.
Okay.
So it's a whole process, but if you want to, be normal, function as normal as possible, you really have to dig deep and see what's affecting you, whether it's going to therapy. I know therapy is not the best for everybody. Finding somebody that you really, really trust to talk to, and guidance counselors are in schools now. Dealing with high school, so finding somebody that you trust, or most definitely therapy, is the best recommend.
Okay. So like, how does someone know? Because I think a lot of times it's not that we don't want the help, but I think a lot of us don't know that we need the help. So how do you begin to like recognize that you yourself have been going through trauma? Because I think a lot of us, especially like in the Black community, like it took, for me to go to school and hear about certain things that I had like, grown up around, and like it's kind of like a normal thing, and it's like, that's something that they were kind of traumatized. That was, that was scary for them. It was like, okay, yeah, we ducked, we hear the gunshot, but it's like,
right.
Oh yeah, they just shooting over.
That's like, yes.
So it's
that's
like,
not like
that's a trauma, that's a traumatizing event, to grow up and become desensitized to a gunshot.
Right.
So where you kind of jump in and you just kind of like, all right, I need to, either get a little further away because they were too close, or,
right.
All right, it was over there, so I good.
And sometimes I really feel like it's something that you have to decipher for yourself too, because if you become desensitized to a lot of trauma, it's really hard to go and pinpoint, okay, maybe this might be an issue. Or like, oh, maybe this might be a problem. So like I said, if it's something that affects you to the point where you can't function, then it's probably a major issue. Even if it's small, like people think the little things, sometimes the details don't matter, and they really do. So, gunshot, very good example. If you're desensitized to it, yes, it's probably a problem, but also putting more thinking into what you're doing and what's happening could also, alter the way that you think about a situation. Because, gunshots, how you should be running. You should.
Well, I mean, okay, so let's dial it down to a different extreme. So let's just say like you're a person who has, a hard time dealing with friends, but it stems from an abandonment issue. But you don't realize it, so you just kind of go through life and it's like you just have bad friendships. Right. You don't really know where it comes from, but it may be something like a parental thing or something like that. So how do you get to the point where you even notice that you have or you're going through a traumatic thing? Because a lot of things sometimes in life, like I tell you, what I've been teaching with the plan is figure out who you are right now, understand who you need to become to achieve your goal, and then make those changes. And sometimes it is hard to say, okay, well, I mean, it's really easy to get those surface level things. It's easy to say, okay, yeah, I'm a procrastinator. Let me stop procrastinating. Oh, I'm very anxious. Let me find something to cool me down. I'm very stressed. Let me come something soothing. Or I need to be more productive. Let me do more. Those are the easier things. But I feel like the harder things are going to be like, you know what? I do have this loneliness. You know what I'm saying? And this loneliness brings about, there's this feeling where I do feel defeated, or I'm insecure in this area, or things that that are stemming from a traumatic experience, but we don't recognize it.
Sometimes you gotta do like a reevaluation process. Elevation is really all about improving what you have now. You're not really taking anything new. Great example would be, I'm going through classes right now, but they're not teaching me something that I don't know. They're elaborating on something I already know. So all it's making me do is go back, reevaluate the situation, and look at it in a different way. So it's really all about self-reevaluation. Like if you keep going through the same thing over and over, it's time to take a step back and be like, okay, what's the common factor to why I feel this way? What's the common factor as to why I keep going through the same thing over and over? Because I'm telling you, there's something in common with each and every situation. So reevaluation, like my best advice, especially if you're sick of going through something over and over again. With abandonment issues, what makes me feel lonely? What makes me feel abandoned? Whatever I've been through that's causing me to feel like I can't be what's the word I'm looking for?
Self-reliant.
Yeah, self-reliant or self-sufficient. What's making me feel like I need other people? And then what can I do? What are some things that I can do? Maybe even put in a little research. I mean, I'm not a psychologist, so I don't have all the answers, but if you research some stuff, I'm telling you, you can find what you need. But it's really asking yourself questions and then putting yourselves in different scenarios to try some new suggestions, or try doing things different, because if you keep doing things the same, like, you're never going to progress. Progression and change, they go hand in hand. So
okay, well, you definitely hit on some things that we talked about in previous videos, especially as far as like change and I like what you said, elevation. You know what I'm saying? It's just constantly improving yourself, and that kind of speaks to that plan, because I let them know, like, we break it down. So your life plan, you're gonna live 60-something years. You know what I'm saying? Like, after you graduate high school at 18, so you got like 6-something years. So 80, let's just say 80 years. So I have them draw this plan, and the plan starts, it goes breaking it down. Like, right now, where are you at? The next 5 years, where do you want to be? Well, the next 12 months, where do you want to be? The next 5 years, where do you want to be? The next 30 years, where do you want to be? And it's really just working toward that goal to gradually improve themselves at each stage. You know what I'm saying? To take, some weaknesses and improve upon it. So I kind of want to get into like that mentality too, because again, like, the second pillar for us is the mental. So we really focus hard on the plan, because we want them to understand how important having a plan is in life, how important it is to plan for life. And so now we want to get into more so the mentality of breaking down the plan, breaking it down. But also, there's a mental side of the plan. There's a mental side to life, because everything isn't going to be physical. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you wake up and you have stress of bills and stress of kids and stress of job, like, you can't physically just push all that weight. You're gonna have some mental capacity. So, like, kind of talk about that as well. I'm not just gonna keep it on trauma, but like, just kind of talk about like the mental aspect. Like, how important is it to have a sound